Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? This is a new episode of the coffee date. Something I did last year and then kind of fell off the wagon a bit. So I'm super excited today. I'm going to talk to Jessica, and she already joined. Hello. Do you have to let you in? Is this not new? Something new? I feel like they chime. Ah.
Hello. My audio is weird now. Just a second. I'm going to take off my...
You don't hear me? Can you hear me now? No? Maybe my headphones are still on and I forgot about that. Give me a second. Now. How about
Okay,
now?
that's better. Yes.
I can't hear you. Ah,
You
yeah.
can't.
Yeah. Okay, my mistake. You know what? I did that such a long time ago. Everything changed. The interface looks different. I had connected my headphones. It's all my fault. Also, today is super crazy year. I'm living in complete chaos. But anyway, welcome everyone to this live. I'm very excited to do this again. I actually enjoyed the others too. Not sure why I stopped doing it actually. Maybe I try again doing it more regularly. Anyway, today I'm talking to Jessica. Jessica is a knitwear designer working under the name Snickerdoodle Knits, which actually always makes me laugh. Such a funny name, so sweet. And she also, how do I say that? You host the design circle, but you are also kind of the CEO. Let's come on, make it big and bold, right? You are the CEO. So,
Yes.
And she is kind of my coach like that because I'm a proud member of the design circle and the doors are open right now. Today is the last day to join in, or tomorrow, depending on where you live.
Yes.
So really hurry up, okay? Because she's in the US and here in Germany I'm about 6 hours ahead of time. So if you're German like me, make sure to move your ass if you want to get it. I'm going to say that in the end again. So today we are definitely talking about the design circle, and hopefully we can find some more people to join us. And you all love those, like those chat. Anyway, I'm really excited to learn more about behind the scenes and stuff I didn't know. Yeah. So. Jessica, why don't you introduce yourself and talk a bit about your business, and then we dig into the circle.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I love chatting with you in general, but this is fun. So thank you. So I am Jessica, as Maren said, the knitwear designer behind Snickerdoodle Knits. I like to design patterns that are easy to wear, so you don't have to require a whole lot of styling, and that tell the stories of living. So I always have stories behind, there's a lot of meaning behind my designs. Like for example, this one that I'm wearing, it's part of a collection based on where I grew up, and so this is like the blizzard of the snow piling up, and it's not as dense at the top and it's more dense at the bottom, and then it's got all different kinds of snowstorms throughout it, and the collection as a whole is it's about the idea of having a place to belong, because a lot of times it can feel like we don't have a place to belong. So that's me as a designer. Last year, not quite a year ago now, I realized I was extremely passionate about helping and talking to designers. I love all of the business stuff, and I love talking about all the logistics, and I love helping fellow designers, talking about the ups and downs and the reality of being a pattern designer, because not everybody gets it. And a lot of times it can feel really lonely, where we're kind of in our own little units and don't have a great sense of community between designers where we can just talk about designing and business, because the business part is a huge part of it. So then I started one-on-one coaching, and I then started the design circle, because really it was something that I just wasn't finding anywhere, and finally I decided to make it myself.
Yeah, that's super cool. By the way, sorry, I jumped back to your designs for a second, because I really want to know, do you live where you grew up still? You moved? Yeah. Okay. Far away? Or just around the corner?
It's more than a 24-hour drive. So I grew up in Montana, which is like Midwest, and now I live on the East Coast in North Carolina.
24 hours. You know what? I would be a total different country. You can't drive 24 hours from one corner from one. If you go from north to south, you maybe need 12. Okay, that's more, but still it wouldn't be 24 hours. That's, yeah, always reminds me that our country is quite small.
Yeah, so when I did this collection based on where I grew up, I also have a collection based on where I live now. So. Okay, yeah, cool. That's quite interesting. I mean, I follow your designs, but as it is, there are so many stuff is scrolling, and sometimes I'm gonna just get a new one. But and I do read your copy too, but I don't have all of them in my mind. Yeah. I also do the other thing, because we all know we are not alone on social media. Of course, it's very overwhelming, and I don't know. I feel like you can be authentic one day and say, I'm having a bad day. That's kind of nice. Makes you human. But if you have, let's say, 3 bad weeks, Instagram isn't the place to talk about that every day, where you think, oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, finding the balance there and basically showing up as a good business person and thriving creative is kind of the main goal to be here, and that's quite a challenge. Yeah, and there's so much to balance, like you said. You know, like we want to be authentic people that show who we are and are easy to relate to, but then also we are trying to sell our patterns, because this is our business and we kind of have to make money to keep going. And then, you know, how much do you share, how much don't you share, how often do you share, all sorts of things that go into it.
So I was wondering, when I pulled together the questions, how you actually came up with the idea to do the design circle. I understand that you like to help designers, but there has to be a jump from I like to do that and I'm going to build up this quite amazing big program. To be honest, it's not that you are just there and we are only talking. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, so it really started with the fact that I was looking for something like this, where I could connect with designers and feel comfortable asking questions or talking about things in a realistic way, not painting them as a perfect picture, because they aren't always perfect. And at the same time have resources to learn new things about my business. Beyond just the basics that I already knew from marketing coaches and things, but then to also know how to apply it to pattern designing. So I'd been looking for this for multiple years, since I started designing, and I wasn't finding it.
Really not there. There are some coaches who are kind of specialized for that, or you can go into a one-on-one coaching. But, or sometimes not, but that's quite new actually, sorry. Of course I also catch a cold again. But I only see some coaches, and sometimes like a weekend popping up, but not something that is continually there for you. And I also feel it needs some time to ask the question. It's one thing to go to an expert talk and listen to them, but I'm so sorry. Really to implement it, it's quite another thing, and asking things where you always feel a bit stupid.
Yeah. So then I wasn't finding it. I had mentioned it to multiple people. I kind of had this vision where it's like, oh, down the road, once I'm like really successful as a pattern designer, I can start a group and tell people exactly how to do it and all of this stuff. But it didn't feel like I couldn't promise people that they could have a 6-figure business off of pattern design or anything like that. I didn't feel like it was like, oh, hey, I'm the expert, come learn everything from me because I know everything. So I hadn't felt like I could create a program until I started to think about what if I were to bring on guests. Hello, Karen. What if I were to bring in guests that could talk about topics that I'm not an expert in? Which, side note, now I've, after several guests, it's like, well, quite a few of these topics I could speak on. But I actually really like having the guests come in because it brings in another perspective. I can talk about these things all the time in the Discord chat. That's the platform that we communicate on inside of the design circle. But I think it's really valuable to have an outside perspective from somebody else who is more of an expert in that field. So my expertise is more in designing. I get a lot of the business stuff. I can explain it. But then our guest speaker chats really become more of a discussion between myself and the guest. And then others can chime in with questions and things. But then it's really us kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And it's not just the guest presenting this as a lesson or something, because then I'm constantly trying to relate it into knitwear design, specific examples, trying to clarify anything. And it's not just me teaching either. So it started as, okay, maybe I could do this if I brought in guests, so I didn't feel like I was maybe overstepping my boundaries or something. And then I definitely, of course, wanted to have the community aspect to it. And then it just grew from there because that's the way my ideas go. I get really passionate about something and then I have a million other ideas to accompany it.
Yeah, I really want to try to get into all the things that are there, so everybody who's listening kind of gets an idea what is there. So let's say a second at the expert talks, because that's one of my favorite parts, to be honest. I love the community, and we're going to talk about it maybe just afterwards. I love the expert talks too. And the funny thing is that I think after the last one, I thought, actually, I believe Jessica could have done that one on her own. So there are, and I mean, I find that quite interesting because there are very different people. So let's talk a bit about who we had there. I remember we had a talk round with yarn dyers. Obviously, you couldn't have done that one. That was quite interesting because I feel like most of the designers are a bit shy to ask somebody for yarn support. We're always a bit nervous. I'm not super shy about that. I started with that right away, and now I feel shitty that I don't always get my part done, but that feels like I'm in a position. So
Yeah.
what I totally get is asking for the amount of yarn you need for a hat or for a cowl is one thing. Asking for the amount of yarn you would need for a garment or for a shawl. I'm now in collaboration for shawl design, and I know I need more yarn. I actually already asked, but I was really like, you know what, I'm happy to pay for that, but I already felt shitty getting like 4 skeins, and now she has to send me more. And it's such an amount of yarn for an indie dyer. I'm not that nervous with companies, but I mean, for indie dyers, it feels like it's really hard. It's quite a lot of stuff you are asking, and depending how good it goes, how big they are. I'm not so nervous with the bigger ones, but the smaller they get, the worse I feel. Yeah, so it was really nice to have that talk and getting perspective from the other side. Also, we talked about how what's the English word for that? How much in
In advance, like the planning part.
Yeah, right, in advance. You should come with your idea around and what they like as a planning phase. And yeah, so that was a great talk.
Yeah,
I remember.
so it was all about collaborating with yarn dyers as a designer. And we had 3 yarn dyers chatting with us because then it was, I wanted to bring in multiple to get multiple perspectives, see how different people did things differently. But I think the overarching theme was actually dyers are excited to collaborate with us. And then it was interesting talking about different ways to collaborate. So it doesn't have to just be the designer saying, hey, I need these colors, will you send it to me? There can be a lot more collaboration in there too. So yeah, that was...
I feel like most of them really like that. It's really sad. I do that right now. We are actually we have worked on a color together. And I know Ashley loved that part about it. Was really, yeah, okay, I'm going to. Yeah, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually working with one of those dyers right now, and it's the first time it's really been this collaborative, because usually it feels like as a designer it's like I'm just being a burden to them. I don't want to require any extra work, so it's like I'll get it all figured out so they don't have to figure it out. But even for me, after designing for 3 years, that talk, I was like, oh, I wish I had already known this, well, to begin with, but also now I feel like, oh, this can be more like I've been trying to figure out ways to make it more collaborative, but without like feeling like I'm burdening the dyers. And it's like that talk was just like, oh, actually dyers are actually interested in being more involved in creating custom colors or whatever that looks like. So
yeah, I mean, I can imagine that for a yarn dyer it also feels really strange to post every time on social media their yarn, and even you have 5 bases and X amount of colors, so it's probably nice to mix up a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that was one expert talk. And then we had some that were much more business related. I remember Michaela Knight and Kinsey from, oh God, I hope I don't say it wrong, Feel Good Social.
Yep.
So we're more into marketing, and what I really love is that you keep on getting it to the point where it really helps us, because I mean, especially Michaela Knight, I love to talk with Michaela Knight. So she's a marketing expert who has, I would say, for everybody who joins her programs, a goal for $100,000 figure business and more. And I'm not even sure if all knitwear designers want that. And that maybe sounds a bit strange, but I think the vast amount of people are doing this as a sidekick and a creative outlet. And then it's just nice if it's, sustainable, if it can go on and doesn't cost money, but gets a bit money in for holiday also, and that's totally fine. And those big numbers sometimes feel, as for me, they feel really strange.
Yes.
Just as a sidekick. But yeah, it's like, okay, I'm sure some people like Stephen West are making that kind of money and even more, but who else is there? Like, is it even possible? Sorry, I need to get something. Do you know those? I know my German people know those. I'm pretty sure. It's the kind of stuff you get as a kid, and even when you are over 40 years old like me, you still love it. And now as a kid, I'm not sure he even likes them, but I hope it helps.
Yeah, so for the guest speakers, I try to get one person who's more related to designing and one person more related to business every month. And sometimes we have a third guest speaker. But yeah, so I'm trying to think some of the other topics. So like for designing, our first one was how to write a clear pattern. Just to kind of set a foundation there. We did one on how to work with a tech editor. Like if you're already working with a tech editor, then how you can make that more easeful, so that it flows easily. And then we had Sarah Walworth in January talking about fit of garments. And this last one was Swanky Emu Knits talking about sizing with spreadsheets. So that's a whole thing that she's created. So those have been our designing guests so far. And then for business, that can include marketing, it can include mindset. So like our first guest was Jolie Kelly talking about overcoming perfectionism, which actually was really interesting for me because it's like, now I keep going back to that because I'm definitely perfectionist.
For yourself, come on, be honest.
Well, I mean, I won't avoid the fact I didn't intentionally schedule it for myself, but it is true that the guests, you know, I have in mind like creating this path for folks so that, you know, they get the tools that they need along the way. But like I said, I did kind of create this according to what I'm looking for. So there are guests where it's like, actually, I really want to know this. And I know other people do too. So
other way.
What's that? Sorry.
That wouldn't make sense any other way. I mean, in the end, you are still a knitwear designer, right? You need the same stuff, probably ahead with a lot of things because you already digged your way through the mud, let's say it like that. But yeah, still.
Yeah. And then where did we go? Oh, then the next one was Michelle's on marketing. I don't remember what the title was for that.
How to show up in an oversaturated market.
Okay. And then what was Kinsey? I can't remember which was what now for. Anyway, then Kinsey's was how to show up online as a online business.
Yeah.
And then in January, we had a planning and goal setting with the Knitter's Planner. Did we have a third one in January? I can't remember.
On branding.
Oh, that is right. Yeah, we had how to look at your brand.
And we had Ash.
And then, yeah, this last month we had Ash Wilder, who was a 90-minute workshop where we looked at habits and goal setting.
I love that one. You know what? I start every Monday with her, watching the replay again. No,
Yeah.
Every Monday I start the week with watching Ash Wilder's workshop again and trying to get into that mindset.
I love that. Yeah. It's so that's kind of it was about habits and goal setting, but it was more than that, maybe about mindset and really what you're interested in, where you want to get to actually know how to get there. What is that? Do you feel like that's an accurate description? I don't know if there was a lot in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was a mix of getting into the mindset where you want to be in 3 years and try to get kind of sit in that place and stay there with your planning. So it's really making sense and get you more into the CEO role, who really helps you to accomplish that things. And that's something I have to work quite a lot. I think I'm often too much into the nitty-gritty of today, and then I'm just thinking about my next Instagram post, which will bring me nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's even more difficult for us as pattern designers to get into that CEO role when it's like we're not trying to make $500,000 or something. but it is still important to know how we're running our business according to actually achieving our goals. So I think it's interesting topic.
Who comes next?
So we just had Rachel and Loam from She's Making an Impact talking about lead magnets.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And now our next guest is Summer Lee Knits talking about cohesive branding at the end of this month. I was trying to get somebody to talk about inclusive sizing this month, but I just haven't gotten any responses. So that'll be another month, but it will happen. Yeah, so that's, and then in May we have Gigi Made It talking about keeping motivated and authentic. I'm really excited about. And then later this year we have Julie Ann Knitter, who's also Twin Stitches Designs, talking about adding Patreon as a stream of income. She has, I think her Patreon is just a year old, but she has a lot of interest in it, and she's doing some unique, interesting things there. And then at the end of the year, we have Katrina Walzer from Oliphant Cat talking about working with publications and magazines from the designer's perspective. So I'm also working on trying to get the publisher's perspective before that. That's something I'm going to be working on again the next couple days, is really trying to get hold of these guest speakers just to get more stuff on this planner. But yeah, so one will be like with the actual publishing company, getting their feedback on what they're actually looking for in submissions and things, and then what their process looks like. And then Katrina will be talking about the other perspective as a designer. She has self-published, but most of her work is third-party publishing. So.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Okay. Let's do the other things, because I feel like we talked about talks. Yeah, so I mean, the community probably is easy to explain, right? We have the Discord app, and how would you explain it? I think there are a lot of channels. So that's for me not so easy to explain. You should do that. Come on.
Yeah, so it's not like Instagram or Facebook in that you're able to categorize different conversations, so that there's now these, they call them channels, that include all of the conversation on like organizing and planning, or on business questions, design questions, all of these different channels that I've created to help keep things a little bit more organized. And then when you have a question for any of that, or you have something you want to share, you just go into that channel and you share it, and then anybody can comment on it there. So it can definitely look very overwhelming when you first join, especially if you think you want to see all of the fast messages. But I always like to tell each people, like, these conversations are going to come up again. As more people join, you can still ask the same questions. Don't feel like you have to get caught up on everything, because at this point now there's been 6 months of people chatting. Multiple conversations every week. So.
It doesn't matter where you jump in a chatty conversation group. You can also join a Facebook group and have the same effect, where you think, oh, what's going on here? And there it isn't even organized. It's really just a constant stream of stuff, and you will never find anything again. So in Discord, you have the chance to find something again.
And yeah, so on Discord, you can search, like if there's a phrase, like if you want to look for lead magnet stuff, you can search. And another thing is, if there's different topics you're not interested in, you can mute those channels so that you don't see any of the notifications or anything from that, which I think is really helpful.
So what I want to say is, and I have been on other programs, that this one is really chatty, because I know before I joined, we really talked about that, and I was, okay, I have one question. Do they really talk about other programs? And it's the same promise, but somehow they don't talk. Or they do talk every 2 weeks or so, and it feels like strange to pop in there. So here people really, really are chatty and on, and it's really cool, and people are very different, and I love that too. That there are some who are very experienced knitters, and they can answer you all the stuff you don't know if you don't knit that long, which would be me. And also at the same time, especially I feel like especially those knitters are, I mean, you have to get the years in, so naturally you are a bit older, and you are not a native user of all the tech stuff that's coming up. I'm not even sure how much I'm native user web on the smartphone and so on, but yeah, okay. So I'm more used to it, let's say it like that. And so we can give something back that way and try to explain there a bit more. And some haven't even published a pattern, are on their way there, and others are doing this for several years. So that's really nice. I really like that diversity.
Yeah. And thing is, also, even if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of experience either in tech or in design, you can still contribute, because you can still say, hey, I get you. Yes, that is overwhelming for me as well. And that can be really valuable. Actually, that was a big part of why I wanted a community, is to like be able to say, this is frustrating some days, you know, like not to have a space that is negative. I don't want it negative at all, but sometimes it helps just to have a place that says, I'm irritated with Instagram today. What should I be doing?
For me, it really doesn't feel negative. It's fine. We all have our bad day and need a pat on the shoulder, but that's basically it. It's not that we have people there who are currently lamenting.
Yeah,
I'm probably most grumpy, you know. I'm German. I'm no sunshine at all. So yeah, you get a lot of my bad days. I'm really sorry about that.
No, it's totally fine. Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think it's really important to be able to have a place where you can talk about that as a reality, because it is part of business, and understanding that you're not the only one who feels that way, I think is extremely valuable, because it's easy to look at Instagram and see everybody's quote unquote highlight reel and feel like you're the only one who's struggling, who doesn't know how to do XYZ, or who's getting frustrated with the algorithm, or you know, whatever it is.
That's something we are feeling right now, every one of us, right? It's like crazy. Also, I believe people are really occupied by this newest shit that's going on, neighbor country here. So even my newsletter is worse. I was really shocked, like, what? I'm normally at and now I'm 10% less. What's going on? Yeah. I do understand. I'm also really overwhelmed. So sorry. What I also want to say is that Jessica is constantly filling in this community, and you are popping in things like the weekly prompt, which is a new every 2 weeks now. We change that to 2 weeks. Yes. Our idea to change it to 2 weeks. Why did you do it every week? It was like, wait, we can't cope with it so fast, but 2 weeks feels cool. So every 2 weeks there is a new prompt. What's the idea behind this? I feel like it's all business related topics there, right?
Yeah, so the idea really was, okay, we have all of these topics we can be talking about in depth as people that all understand, but I can't have guest speakers come in and talk on everything. And like, I also wanted to be able to kind of prompt designers to be able to journal on these ideas and figure out how to apply them to themselves. So we started out with things like really trying to figure out how to understand your ideal customer. That's something that a lot of marketers talk about, but it can be really hard to actually figure out how to apply it to your business. And things like your why and understanding your journey as your own. Sometimes I feel like it kind of becomes more inspirational, motivational, but kind of just reminding you, like, you know, like, you have this, like, you're totally capable of what you're doing. Remember that you're not the only person who struggles. I'm trying to think what the last one was, really talking about email lists, why you might want to build an email list, how you do that, what kinds of things you talk about. So I post the prompt there, and then it's open for anybody to share anything, ask anything, and if you comment something, I'm going to comment back. So if you have a bunch of questions, I'll answer your questions. If you're feeling a bunch of doubt, I am going to take more of a coaching approach and ask you to look into it more and figure out why it is, or like if I can sense there's some sort of hesitancy where you're feeling like you're not confident enough to do something. I really kind of want to dig into that to help you get clarity on which direction you want to go. Like, what is holding you back, and what is that important to you? Is that a good reason to hold you back, or should you actually, like, would it actually be best for you to move forward according to what is important to you? So I never want anybody to feel like that they should or have to do anything, but I'm really much of the mindset that we're each on our own journey. We have different preferences, different personalities, and so my goal there is to help guide you to figure out what is important to you and what actually applies to your business and how it applies to your business.
Well, the honest newsletter is important to any business. I would like to add that. No matter which business marketer you asked, it will be the first thing that's popping up. And I have to say, I was really hesitant to start mine. I did start mine in August last year, and I was really like, ooh, can I really do that? And not my favorite thing to do. It's the only thing I can't somehow manage to do consistently. So mine goes out every Friday. I somehow get it done. And of course I write it on Friday. Let's be real, yeah. It's not that I'm good enough to make 2 weeks up before or to forget about that stuff. I don't get that. I'm going to work on it and say it like that. But yeah, life happens. It always changes my plans.
Yes. Yeah, so that's the reflection prompts. And then also, I guess another part of the community on Discord is the collaboration section, where basically if anybody has an idea for a collaboration, or I have my 10 million ideas for collaboration, I post them there. You can post them there. And really, you know, whether it's you're looking for one person to collaborate with on something specific, or you're looking for a whole group collaboration for, like, we're trying to put together a whole book thing right now, a quarterly issue. Different things that you can propose there. And we know this is a community of, there's 35 of us right now, I think. Maybe 36 now, where we're all very interested in this idea of collaboration and connection and working together and helping each other. And so that's just another resource there, that basically anytime you have an idea or a question or something that you want to share with fellow designers, you can put that in the Discord. There's no boundaries, you know, as long as you're not being disrespectful to somebody or being harmful in some way. You can put anything on Discord.
People there, honestly. I know it's always a topic, but we just have nice people there, period. And I also believe nice people kind of magnet nice people, so yeah.
Yep.
Honestly. So yeah, so that's the community. I know I put a bunch of questions together, and of course my iPad went off. We have community workshops.
Yeah.
That's something I haven't been. I'm fairly new still, right? I'm kind of the second wave or so. I'm not a girl of the first hour, so I think I missed the first design challenge. And there is something going on right now.
Yes. So
I didn't know this was happening too. What is this?
Yes. So the design challenges are once a quarter, so once every 3 months. Not exactly 3 months, but basically there are 4 a year then, are these week-long design challenges. I call them the Creativity Burst Design Challenges, and each day, which reminds me I have not posted today's prompt, each day there is a design prompt that I have put together, and they can look very different. Sometimes it is, like last fall, the prompts were more like the free design challenge that I just hosted, where it's more about a specific topic. This week, they're all photos. So I have no words. Every prompt is a photo. And the idea is then you think about what this prompt means to you, just different ideas that come up, and then eventually you start thinking about design ideas. But then with the Creativity Burst inside the design challenge, every weekday during that week, I host a live call where everybody can hop on, and we spend the first 30 minutes working through the prompt, and then after that we share exactly what our ideas were, how we got there, different things like that. And it's just, I think it's a lot of fun. Last time folks really had a lot of fun comparing journeys. And even though you weren't on the one last fall, the free design challenge was really similar.
Yeah, I was on that one, and it was quite interesting for me because you definitely have a unique approach to those getting on kind of ideas. I'm honestly not somebody who has a problem with gaining ideas. I have a problem with too many ideas. I do have a different approach to it, but honestly, they mostly just happen to me. It's always hard to explain where they are coming from, because I've kind of 5 different facets that are joining together. Anyway, that's a different topic. So, but still, I found it very interesting, and to be honest, I read that these days a lot, that people here on Instagram especially say, oh my god, it's also overwhelming, and I'm having kind of a creativity block. And I believe for those of you who kind of need some inspiration, this is amazing. It's definitely amazing, because you will get totally different ideas you normally come up with, and then you can make something out of it.
Yeah, and actually last fall, I didn't end up finishing all of the, I didn't do all of the prompts, because on the weekends I didn't have the live calls to be doing them with other people, but I had a couple ideas that I really loved, and one of them is the idea that I am hoping to follow through with for our book collaboration. So even though I don't struggle to have ideas, I still found it a lot of fun through that way. And for me also, I think it's a low pressure thing. It's not like, oh, I have to have a design idea for this. It's more about, let's follow this creative process and see where it takes me. And a lot of the ideas I generated were very different than anything that I would ever make, but it was kind of fun just to be like, oh, actually I do have ideas in other departments.
There are some submission calls at the moment out there from some magazines, and I think most of all of them I opened, and I was really like, ooh, abundance. That's saying actually really nothing to me. Looking at those pictures, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. And I had another one. And then we had the challenge. And I'm still struggling if I should send it in or not, because I don't have time. But it was like, I kind of came up with an idea where afterwards, so okay, that would fit to the one where I had actually no idea for. So I feel like it's a good way to, if you want to take part of this submission calls and get into a magazine or work with one of the big young companies that are calling for designers, this will definitely help too, because they always have some kind of topic, and not all of them are, I mean, all of them are kind of overhead ideas, and it can be hard to find something that fits there. And your approach brought me at least on the way to find something for those calls. So
yeah, that actually reminds me of something else inside of the community. I've had several folks that love that we have a channel just for calls for submissions. So anytime anybody finds a new calls for submission, we share it in there, and then anybody, of course, has access to that. And another channel inside of the Discord group is resources. So I try, anytime somebody shares a resource inside of the group, I try to put it over in that area. But then, so now we just have this whole kind of directory of resources for all aspects of your business. And then around the time of each door open launch, I go through and update the PDF that is on the website. So then it's a little bit more organized, because then I actually have the topics in the order that makes more sense. But it's all linked and everything there too. So, but that's just something I remembered as you were saying that. But then, okay, so you were talking about workshops, which is a new thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was also gonna say, for the creativity burst, the reason you didn't get in on the first one is because I took a poll of the folks that were inside the design circle, and I said, do we want to invite our new friends, or do we want to have this before our friends join? And then everybody was like, let's do it before they join. So I thought we were gonna wait until after the launch, and you missed out. So blame everybody else.
All right.
But then with the workshops, the idea was, all right, we have this Discord group where we're exchanging ideas via text messages, essentially. You know, we're just typing back and forth. We have the guest speakers, which is a live call, but it's primarily focused on the guest. So you can ask questions, but it's not like we can have a whole conversation. So I was really wanting to have a way where we can basically have the Discord chats, but live. So we can actually bounce ideas back and forth on each other. So now once a month, we have a workshop that is around a topic that I've selected. And anybody who's interested in the topic can join. And then I schedule the call based on who's interested and their availability. So like this last month, we had enough folks in different areas that we had 2 different workshops. And that worked really well. I had the replays available, so you could watch the other. But then that allows us to just talk about this stuff as real life designers, talking about business mostly. There will be some stuff a little more related to designing. But then, you know, I have a forum where you can submit your questions beforehand. You can submit any tips, advice you want to share, so that I make sure we get everything covered, but we can talk about anything really in the conversation. So
I also feel like these workshops help you to kind of get your head into the topic. Sometimes you need that to really think about it, and then the questions pop up. Yeah, if you have the usual everydays, it's it's a bit like a train.
Yeah. So our first one was in January, and that was organizing and prioritizing ideas. The February topic was content ideas and content planning. And the topic for this month is understanding your ideal customer and how to create content for them. So the idea is, sure, I had that whole reflection prompt where you could ask questions. It was extremely valuable for some people, but if you're still struggling with how to figure out who your ideal customer is, we'll talk through that. Like, talk to us about what you're trying to create, like who you're trying to create for, what your purpose is in your business, and we can kind of help you identify that. And then also, if you do know who your ideal customer is, tell us that. And my idea is this is basically a brainstorming session where if you're struggling to create content for them, let's talk about ways that we can connect with them and create content specifically for them. So
I'm curious about that one because I definitely struggle. And I feel like there is this overall idea that is kind of a bit blurry, where you not really get a grasp on it, but yeah, basic ideas are there. That's kind of me. But then saying Emma is 46 years old and lives in she has 2 kids, you know. I feel like there is kind of a there's a jump to that. I don't get to Emma. I somehow don't probably name her Emma. But
yeah, I feel like it's not so important to know all of the specifics about, like, I think it's helpful to have an idea of age range, and I think it's most important to know their interests. Like, what are they going to relate to? Oh, like when you're talking about different stories about your designs and stuff, are they going to relate to sitting in the rocking chair on the porch? Or are they going to relate more to being at their kid's soccer game knitting? Different things like that, like just as an example. But yeah, that I think there's so much emphasis put on ideal customer, and yes, it is extremely important, but the way folks approach it a lot of times in marketing is like, okay, you need to know what age they are, what town they live in, how many children they have, what's their favorite color, like all these different things, where it's like, it can be easy to just like fill in the blanks and say, okay, this is my ideal customer, and you still don't know anything about your ideal customer for the sake of your marketing.
No, I used to work as senior art director quite a long time, and our ideal customer has always been the same. It was always a dude. Definitely not super young, not super old, something in the middle, the ones that really earn the money. And when I got those marketing stuff, I was really like, okay, and especially when I made events for the automotive industry, it was like, okay, do we have 95% male again? Seriously, it didn't change. All right, let's do something for the dudes. No, we don't do the naked girls anymore. So now it's 95% women, and it's really crazy for me to switch there. I'm used to work for the dudes. Sometimes I think I should maybe only do patterns for the dudes, but yeah. I actually like to do stuff that isn't especially feminine nor especially masculine, and works for both genders, or kind of all genders, to be honest, because I don't care how you feel as long as you feel good. And yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but it's kind of how I style myself too.
Yeah, well, and without going too much into talking about ideal customers, a lot of time, no, I don't mind talking about it, but given that we've almost been talking for an hour, I won't talk for another hour about it. But a lot of times our ideal customer is very similar to who we are now or who we were in the past. Helpful to know.
I heard that a lot too. So we are going to talk about that inside the circle at, I think, the end of March, right? Yeah. So if you're going now, you're going to be part of that workshop. So let me have another check here. I think do we have everything that's going on the circle? Did we get into all topics?
Let me see. I'll pull up my list. I have the website listed here. So
yeah.
One thing that we have open right now that is a new collaboration is this idea of a publication. So right now we have calls for interest open. So if you join this time, doors close Tuesday night. I'm gonna confuse everyone.
I always mix those two up.
Doors close Tuesday night. So, and then the calls for interest closes later this week. So basically, if you join, you'd be invited to also join in our future book collaboration. And the call for interest is just getting an idea of what designs folks are interested in creating according to our mood boards and everything.
Yeah.
Workshop. Oh, we also have an annual design along, which we have not had yet, but that's happening next month. So it's all month long, where we have a couple of calls each week, and we we're working on our designs. And so that's really talking, a lot of what we talk about in the design circle is business, because I think that's what most people struggle with more. Most of our design questions are around garments. You're welcome to ask any questions that you have around designing, but a lot of the questions that come in are about garments. But this is going to be our chance really we can talk about our design processes, see how other people do things differently. We can ask any questions you have about a design. So if you want to tackle something that has been intimidating because you don't know the how, you can do it during the design along and get other folks' feedback and input and expertise. And yeah, it's just really a chance for us to share more of our designing together and talk about that.
Yeah, cool. I have a long list of things I'm intimidated by. Okay, cool. So I would like to ask some other questions very shortly. And the first one is, what is something you are actually really proud of?
Oh, I'm really proud of how open the community is. Like how easy it is for folks to share and to talk and to ask questions. It's one of those things, like you mentioned, I've been in several communities where it's like, it's supposed to be a community where you can ask questions and all this stuff. And it's just like, I don't feel comfortable here. I feel like I'm stupid if I'm asking something, or I feel like, you know, it's hard to ask a question because I look dumb or incompetent or something. And the way that I perceive the community and the feedback I've gotten from several of the members is that this isn't that community. And so, you know, creating it, it's like, how is this actually going to work? And it seems like it actually has. And so in a lot of ways, I like to, you know, the only way I can describe it is like, it's a dream come true. It really is a place that people feel safe and feel like they're understood and that they can actually get help.
Yeah, it's always the boss in that case. Quite honestly, I worked in, it's not only being on other programs, but it's also something I learned working for different agencies, the way the boss behaves, even if it's kind of the person that isn't on the projects or so, but it does kind of give the tone and how people feel, if they feel welcome or not. If it's also a bit about how much drive something has, and I feel you are such a nice communicative person that welcomes people and smiles a lot, like on this call too, that it's easy. You make it easy. You make that. You really make that atmosphere. It's you. It's not. I mean, the other people, of course, we are all part of it, but it's still you. You are the one.
Yeah, it's said before, like, I think the reason it works so well is because I have set it up where I'm also vulnerable. I'm willing to share questions and say I don't know the answers. And, you know, I've set it up so that it's, you know, like, I think in order to have this level of where you can actually feel welcome, and you have to have a level of trust with the other members and the myself as the host, and that requires vulnerability from folks, and that can be hard. But we've really I think it's a space where, with some intention from myself, it is a place where people are able to be vulnerable, and then that allows for this open connection. So
yeah. Okay. Another question is, what surprised you the most?
What surprised me the most? Well, what surprised me the most is actually the first launch. I had no idea how successful this was going to be, how many people would actually be interested, but I did put a cap on 25 members. I didn't want it to be more than 25 members just in case that would be too difficult to manage for the first launch. And it filled up 3 days before doors were going to close. So it was like halfway the launch, it completely filled up. So that was a huge surprise, and it was a huge encouragement for me to be like, oh, other designers also feel the same way that I have. And this is a space that people actually need. And then not only that, then the feedback I got from them was, yes, this is what they were looking for, and that it's actually filling their expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that. It's really... Okay. Knowing that there's already a lot going on, I still know you have so many. I kind of feel, and I kind of know that you have a lot of stuff going on in your head. And I would like to know, what is something you would like to add but haven't gotten around to, whatever the reason?
Yes. So from before I even open the doors, something that I've had in mind is that I want to bring in a couple of experts that could be in the community all of the time. It won't be able to happen until we have a larger community and more finances. But it's like somebody who's like really good at, say, like garment design, and somebody who's more into the mindset stuff, and then somebody who's like a marketing expert. That I don't know exactly what it would look like, but maybe we would have monthly calls with them where you can ask any questions you have, or maybe they just are in the chat. We have special channels for them and you can ask them anything. I don't know that we really need it yet, because I feel like so far we've been pretty well able to answer each other's questions. The questions that are left somewhat unanswered are always the garment questions. Because I've only knit one sweater myself. I haven't designed any garments. So I don't have that expertise. There are some folks who have done some garment design, but a lot of the garment questions end up being very specific. But anyway, so my idea is that we would have these experts that would then be available on a more constant basis.
Try to get into garment design this year. Would be nice.
I've committed. I'm doing it. So
super hard. Yeah, I will do that too. But really, talking about the things that really intimidate me. 9 sizes is all I'm saying, and I'm not so nervous about the first 6. I'm really nervous about not getting the last 3 done in a proper way.
Yep.
So that feels like a great challenge. Yeah, okay. We will see. A challenge. Do you have a date for it? Mine is I still think I would love to do something for my birthday, which is 10th of May, so that one is probably not going to happen. But the other one is September, October. That kind of feels more achievable. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine. You had frozen on me for a little bit, so I don't know what all I missed. But I got that you're wanting to design a garment.
Yeah. What is my question was, what is your date? When do you want to release your first garment?
Oh yeah, so the one that I have committed to will release in January.
Next year.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
I have. And I might submit one to a call for submissions that's currently open that would be due at the end of the summer. I'm still trying to decide if that's actually doable or not. I need to look into like whether they would do the grading or not, because if it's that would be a deal breaker. Because some places, like, you just submit one size and then they do the grading. So
okay. All right. Like we should wrap it up, right? We're talking about an hour. I mean, we can talk longer if you want to. Oh, we both can.
The folks watching the replay, we maybe shouldn't talk too much longer, but yeah.
So I have one more question for you, and that is, where do you see the design circle in the future?
Oh, I have so many dreams for the design circle in the future. What I really want it to be is a hub for designers that feel like that, like like the place in the industry where they feel like they actually get at the resources, access to all the resources that they need and the community and support that they need. So that's just, it's like a central point for designers. I don't know that we'll ever have, you know, like courses on garment design. So that part, you know, would still have to be an external resource. But for the most part, I really want it to be where you learn what you need to know about running your business as a designer.
Yeah, the design part, I feel that is really very different thing, and people are doing so many different have so many different approaches. Some people are only doing color work, and all the questions I have are around that topic. So I don't know. You probably could make that, but then you are more at a school and not at a small program. And you would have to dig into probably into all those different places. And I'm also not sure if it's really needed, because I feel like everybody kind of finds its own topic and digs into that one. I know there are some garment designers around us. I feel like you are, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of love to do shawls. You're doing other accessories, but that kind of is your arrival point at the moment, or your field where you love to play. Is that right?
Yeah. So where I started, well, I started with a hat and mittens, but I quickly started doing a lot of shawls, and then that kind of became what I became known for. And so then dyers started asking me to do shawls. So I do really enjoy shawls. I think I maybe enjoy cowls a little bit more for designing, but I wear shawls more. But where all of my ideas are right now is in garments. So
I understand that. I'm with you, kind of. I find at the moment I find it very interesting to explore more unusual shapes and items, and do that in more or less one color and only garter, and then really focus on small details and make it kind of special and show off the shape. And that's also what I want to do for garments. I never had an interest in doing sweaters, but I love vests and cardigans, and as you would knit those flats, it's again perfect. Just a garter, and I feel like people are loving that. Actually, my bestseller is that it's a bandana cowl, and I always thought, okay, bandana cowl is kind of cool, but all the designs I found are so heavy textured and color work, and I was really like, oh my god, can we skip that part at the moment? I just want to get started. Give me the kind of minimal basic version where I can just understand how this construction works, and after that we can add the other stuff. So I will definitely explore that more. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that for years, but this year there are more coming for sure.
Yeah, and I love that. For me, what I want to knit and what I want to wear has always been very different, because I like to wear more simple things, but I often like to knit and design things that are require more attention. I'm starting to change some so that it aligns more with what I want to wear, but my design ideas going forward have to do with what I actually want to wear, and that's a lot of pullovers and cardigans. And
find the spot.
Say that again.
Can you find the sweet spot?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah. There has to be one. Like, do it in brioche, and something I haven't even learned. But, so it's on the list. Not high, to be honest, but yeah, that always feels like something where you have to concentrate. And I'm very much a TV knitter. So
well, and I think as I'm doing, like, designing is becoming less of my time as I'm doing more work with designers. I'm having more, like, there's more brain thought and challenge in other parts of my life now, other parts of my business now. So I don't think my designing and knitting has to be quite as much of a challenge as it used to be, because now a lot of the challenge is other types of ways. So
Yeah. But honestly, I feel like, I mean, we all have seasons, and in some seasons you need the one part more, and in some seasons you need the other part more. But I also feel like we all have a tendency, and for a lot of people, the tendency is that they knit, that they need something to focus on, like you said, to forget the other stuff. And then there are the others who just need something to do with their hands to relax while they are watching TV or listen to a book or whatever. I do a lot of things while I knit, to be honest. Most of my marketing ideas, and there's always a pencil and some paper lying next to me because I get the good ideas while I knit too. And I'm listening to our replays a lot while I knit. So that's really cool. I can learn a lot about marketing while I knit. That's one of my favorite things, actually.
yeah, I do a lot of listening to workshops and podcasts and things like that while I'm knitting, and then I'm realizing, like as I'm designing less, I'm knitting less, and now I have to make more time for the educational pieces outside of my knitting.
Oh, yeah, there's always some time missing, right? You never have enough time. Okay, so last thing, where can people sign up?
Yes, so the link is snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. It is in my bio at Pattern Design Circle on Instagram, and also at Snickerdoodle Knits. Snickerdoodle Knits is my design handle. Pattern Design Circle is new Instagram that I've created to really cater to designers, so I can share tips and ideas with specifically for designers and marketing and things like that. So you can find it in the link in my bio on both places. And the link that says the design circle will lead you to the page that has all of the information about it and the links to join.
Right. I'm going to share that link in my stories too again. For the time being, you can sign up. So I guess we should also say what it costs, right?
Yeah. So it currently costs $427 a year. That is an annual payment. You can cancel your membership whenever you want. But if you choose to cancel, you'll still have access for the entire year that you paid for. Or now we finally have split payments, payment plan options. So you can do 3 payments of $157. This is US dollars instead. So that is also an option.
The funny thing is, you explained to me, I remember that we talked about that, and you said a lot of people think about it like it's about a very nice a month or something like that. Was an idea about it. So I was like, yeah, okay. So I know, quite honestly, $427 sounds like a lot of money. It's not. I really have to say that it's not. You can go right now on Vogue Knitting Live and have a look at what it costs to join. How do they, something like that, expert talks. I know there are different options. You can do workshops. There are 2 hours, but there are also talks for 1 hour. And one of those talks, if I'm correct, is about $40. So, and that is only one part that's in this design circle. There are other programs, like I mentioned, that are sometimes pop up where you have some more talk, some more people giving talks over a weekend. And if you look at what you have to pay for those weekends, it's more than this. So, and you don't have this constant community and somebody who actually, quite honestly, not very often says, I don't know. You know a lot. You can always help in some way. The only thing where you say, I don't know, is when I ask you a question about my Squarespace website, because you're not on Squarespace, and that's totally fine, because they have a service I pay for, and I should just ask them. So,
I really want to say that because I know it's hard to talk about your prices on your own and saying it's not a lot of money. It's like saying my knitting paddles are $5 and it's not a lot of money. It's not, but I feel like somebody else had really say this is a super nice fair price, and also there are other business schools who are offering programs far more. That would be kind of the monthly rate often, and it won't help you as much because it's not about the business you have to build up as a knitting designer or as a knitting pattern designer. It's always English. So really, don't I want to say you can sleep over it one night. That's it.
Yeah, and I totally get you like looking at that price point. It can feel like a lot. But also I do know a lot of programs that charge double that and have a third of the support. And like there is a lot inside of the design circle. And really it's a matter of how much you're willing to care about your own business. How much do you think you'd be able to get just from having these resources and support? You can probably make this money back in a year as well. Just
yeah, of course, definitely. No, yeah. Look, it's mostly on us. Yeah, first of getting the information and then really implementing it. It's not always easy, but even on that way, you're getting somebody who holds your hand. So
yeah, and honestly, a lot of us, it's when we start making these financial investments that we actually take ourselves more seriously and are willing to actually put in the time to make those changes that have to be done anyway.
I've been on so many free webinars. Ask me how much I implement those ideas.
Yep.
I mean, also they usually are not saying how to get it done because they're going to sell the course. Yeah, okay. So that was really nice. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you for having me and for all of your excitement and support around the design circle. It really helps so much for me. Like I get so excited about these ideas, but then when I know that other people find it valuable and are so excited about it, it really helps encourage me a lot. So
you're so welcome. Really, you're so welcome. So now I have to get it done to download that video, but maybe you can. And the replay will be available, and we are going to share it wherever we can. And yeah, I know we see each other later, of course, and all the other people out there. Hope to see you again soon too. Bye.
And if you have any questions for me, go ahead and pop those in the comments. And if you put the link in the description on a video, they can also click the link straight to the design circle if you want to. So.
Okay, I tried.
No worries if you can't get it.
Oh, I can put in the link there. That's new.
All right.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.